Right, today what I'd like to show you is how to cut an onion safely and how to work safely in the kitchen. So just first of all, before you even start, what you need to do is you need to make sure your hair's tied back, make sure you've removed any jewellery, any necklaces or anything, make sure you've got a clean apron on and that it's tied up. Then you're ready to start. Make sure that your equipment that you're using is clean. Make sure your surfaces are all clean, and I always put a damp cloth under my chopping board, and then that will ensure that it doesn't move around. Now, I'm going to show you two cuts today to help you work safely in the kitchen. So the first cut I'm going to show you how to do is the bridge method. Now, the first thing we're going to work with is an onion. What we need to do is we need to cut the onion in half, and what you have is you have a root on the onion. I want you to cut through that root. So this onion would sit in the ground like that, and the root is at the bottom there, and that is the root. So you're going to use a knife. I'm going to use a vegetable knife, or another word for it is a paring knife, and you're going to use your bridge method to hold the onion. And then I'm going to use the blade of the knife to chop through and cut through my onion. My hands are not, my fingers are not anywhere near the knife to make this as safe as possible. Right, I've then cut the onion into two pieces. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel back the skin of the onion. Peel that off so there's no brown skin left on there at all. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, there's the root still attached there, and this end I'm going to cut this little bit off here that we don't want. I'm then going to show you how to use your knife safely. So hold your knife with your finger at the top and make sure you have a grip on the knife. With the blade, the sharp bit should be always pointing downwards. The top bit here is blunt, but this end is very, very sharp. You need to take your onion, you need to get your hand like a bridge and put it over the onion like that. Then I'm going to take the tip of the knife and I'm going to put that into the onion, but I'm not going to do it all the way along. I'm going to leave a gap so it doesn't go to the end. I'm then going to take my knife, I'm going to push that down, and I'm going to slice that along. I'm going to do that along the onion all the way to the other end. I'm going to use the tip of the blade, cutting down and pulling away. When you're at the chopping board, always make sure you're standing fully in front of the board like this, with your body towards the board like that, and make sure that you're holding it safely and you're not putting your fingers or anything anywhere near the blade. Once you've cut it, as you can see, it's still attached here and it fans out, so the onion doesn't fall apart because this root here is still holding it together. This makes it a lot easier to cut. So then I'm going to use a different method now for a safety hold. I'm going to use what we call the claw. So the claw is like this. It's like a lion's claw. You're going to hold that like this. And what you need to do is, the whole point of this is so when you cut down, you can't cut your fingers. So you need to put your fingers tips onto the top of the onion, and then you need to make sure they're comfortable with your thumb tucked right behind. And then what you do is just push them forward a little bit. So that part of your fingers is like that. So if you did slip with your knife, you couldn't cut your fingers because your fingers aren't in the way and my thumb is tucked fully behind. And then I'm just going to use the knife and I'm going to cut across with the knife. It's really important that you use a nice sharp knife so you're not struggling to cut through your onion. As you can see, my fingers are nowhere in the way. They're tucked well behind. And as this is your first time of cutting, don't go right to the end. Just leave that bit, leave that to the side. And as you get more confident with the knife, you can cut the rest of the onion. So that's 2 safety methods that I'm teaching you there. There's the bridge, which is like that, and the claw, which is like a lion's claw, like that. Use those 2 safety techniques when you're cutting. Make sure there is a damp cloth underneath to stop your board from moving around whilst you're cutting, and therefore you should be able to do that in a safe manner.